onto the Bluetooth streaming side of things. To connect a device, a tablet or a smartphone, as long as you've got Bluetooth on there, you should be ready to go. Now, the way the cabinet was designed and the speaker configuration and the way it's ported, it's built to sound really, really good even at low volumes. So there's a feature on these products that as you turn the volume down, the bass tends to widen and increase, and I'll show you that hopefully with a track that you'll be able to hear through the speakers. So hopefully you can hear there, even at low volumes, the bass response is still very, very prominent, almost like we've got a subwoofer in there. And of course, when the Bluetooth music is streaming, you can jam along. So that should give you a good idea there. And again, just encouraging you to think outside the box. You could stream anything to here. So, you know, it might be a game of sorts, you know.
EA Sports, it's in the game.
So that's just to hopefully give you an idea that if you have any kind of tablet or smartphone wirelessly, you can have a great speaker system while you're playing. So that really shows off the Bluetooth side of things, but an exceptional sound response from streaming your music to the ID Core Beam. Okay guys, the last thing to look at is the Insider software, which is a free download, and you can get it from blackstaramps.com, and it's for Mac or PC, and it's an additional extra to the ID Core Beam, and it also works with our ID series and our ID Core series as well. It's not a recording interface, it's just an extension of the amplifier. So the first two things that you see on the drop down menu there is the front panel of the amplifier with a little bit more EQ control, which is important for you to know, because if you're plugging a bass guitar into here and you think, I've only got one EQ dial, it's not enough for me, here we have bass, mids and trebles, so you can get a lot more detail. There's also an imagery of the pedals, so you can get in really tight with your mouse and adjust them as you would in detail if you had the pedal in front of you. So that's the first two things that we see, and it talks to one another. If I move the dial on here, it will move on screen, and vice versa with the mouse. Next we have an audio player. Now this is our phrase trainer section. If you're not familiar with a phrase trainer, this will allow us to import an MP3 file, and we can play it at normal speed, but we can slow it down or speed it up to any speed we want, and it will still remain in the same key, in the same pitch, which is ideal for beginners, maybe the cover band guy that's learning the next slash solo that he needs, or anything like that. So there's no need for capos or detuning the guitar. You can literally play, slow it down and learn in your own pace. And like I said, for beginners, that's really, really useful. There's also a metronome in that section. So I'm going to play some music via my PC into the MP3 line in on top here through the ID Core Beam. And I'm going to choose a backing track, which is an AC/DC backing track. So this is Back in Black. Then I'm going to go to my library where we can store all of our presets. So I've got my own in this big right-hand column here, and when you create your own, you can do it on the amp on its own without a computer, but when you're using a computer, it gives you the option of giving it a title, giving it a description, and also tagging it so people can search for it in the online community, the sharing community. With the online community, you can have your login details and a password, and you can share, download other people's patches as well as artist patches also. It's really unique. So let me choose a tone, and I've already got a preloaded tone I use here called Back in Black. So I'm going to choose that, and it will automatically load that into the amplifier. So that's a nice kind of classic rock sound, if you like. So now that I've got my track ready and also the tone, I can look to jam along. And then what I'm going to do halfway through playing, or a little bit into playing, is actually change the key, or change the pitch should I say, and the key will remain the same. So you can see that if you're learning, it's really useful. And you can see there I was part of the band for that moment. I was getting a bit carried away, but I can slow it down to any speed and it still remains on the same pitch. So importantly, if you're learning those tricky licks or those tricky riffs, really great feature. The metronome next to it is self-explanatory. It's a separate entity. It doesn't sync with the track, but again, useful to have. And you can do everything that you would expect with that as well. Change the tempo, the sound, and so on, and the level. So that's the phrase trainer that we've just looked at. And lastly to look at is just the tuner. We've got a really nice on-screen clear chromatic tuner to get your instrument sounding musical. And that's all the software is. Really nice addition, and it's a free download. Okay, so I think we've come to the end of the demonstration of the ID Core Beam here at Mega Music in Perth. I've been Steve Marks. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, and make sure you come down to Mega Music to check out the ID Core Beam, as well as all the other fantastic Blackstar products that they sell in the store. And keep rocking. Peace.